Hello everyone, it's me again, GW Fan the Softcore Brony, welcoming you back to Let's Play Breath of Fire 2, the Retranslation. Immediately after Tapita joined the party, our local carpenter built a town where our hideout used to, well, or rather still is, but used to be. And, well, it opens up a whole bunch of new functions that we can need access to, but in order to do that, we kind of need to get to town first. But before that, one thing I probably should clear up is that while Tapita is in frog form, he cannot swim in the ocean. He can only swim in rivers and lakes. However, it's still very convenient for getting across the world map now, because not only is the encounter rate cut in half, but we can also take a whole bunch of shortcuts, which makes the whole trip shorter, you know, kind of like this. Alrighty, so here we are in town, which has only 3 buildings in it at the moment at least, and is rather empty, with being says no one actually lives here. Although if you look in some of the buildings, you can get some rather minor rewards sometimes, at least while they're empty anyway. But the one thing, I'll go over the carpenters and what else we can do here later, but we should probably think about filling up our town. Really, nothing? Okay, maybe there isn't anything in these first 3 houses, but filling up our town with people. But it's not like we can just go around inviting anybody we want. Remember, well, yeah, now's the time we can finally remember all those people that I told you to keep in mind. You know, all the ones that, oh wow, a whole zenny, huh? Yeah, all the ones that had names. Because some of them, at least, are actually worth inviting to your town. Now, of course, we can't invite all of them to our town, which is called Township. It's still called Township, right? Yeah, it's still called Township. We only have, at the moment at least, 3 houses to invite people to, and it's not like everyone can, it's not like we can invite anyone to any of these 3 houses either. As it turns out, every person is linked to a very specific home. So, house number 1, house number 2, house number 3, each one, there are 5, in this case at least, there's 5 specific people who can be in house number 1, 5 in house number 2, and 5 specific in house number 3. There's no overlapping anywhere. And once one person is living in any house, no one else who could potentially live in house number 1 can live in that house anymore, even if the other 2 homes are empty. So the real question is, who do we invite? Who do we not? As it turns out, it's actually a pretty darn easy choice for the most part, because all in all, there's like maybe 3 people who are really worth inviting to your town, 2 that are worth inviting depending on which carpenter you chose, and maybe 3 or 4 others who are kind of useful. Of course, among everyone else, usually falls into one of 2 categories. One is what I like to call just for fun characters, and the other ones are just flat out useless. And other ones are kind of misleading, even though they seem like they'd be useful. For example, maybe you remember Kay, who's upstairs in the Corsair Inn. Or not inn, the church. Obviously the music. Yes, we built a new town. That's wonderful! You've been waiting to become a doctor, essentially. But, Unfortunately, you're not a very good doctor. What she does is she has a service that sounds good. She will basically make your party totally immune to the poison status. But the thing about it is that it only lasts for the very next battle you get in. You don't even have to get poisoned or anything. It lasts for one battle, and that's it. You'll have to come back and get it again, which, of course, is kind of pointless since there's no real practical use for, getting poisoned in maybe one battle and all that, or what have you. And so there's two other people in the world kind of like her. I think one of them will raise your party's attack power for one battle, and another guy will raise your party's defense for one battle. So if you ever come across these people, don't invite them to your town. It's a very bad idea. Other people in the world, of course, there are many useless ones. Like this guy here, Makati, who's in the Corsair pub bathroom. Yeah, he lives here, and he wants to find a place to live, so we could be free and give him a home, but it's not worth it because once he lives there in Township, he won't do anything whatsoever. He'll just live there, and that's it. And that kind of sucks, honestly. But otherwise, there's the for fun people who you might consider letting you joining your town. For example, maybe you remember this guy in Mount Rocco. He just kind of lives in the cave here. Win. Same color text. Spice this up a bit. You can change the color of the text border anytime you like, which doesn't really serve any purpose, but, it's something you can do if you want. I wouldn't get any of the for fun people, personally. So, there is that option. There's another guy, like that guy in Capitan, Lacquer in this game, Blocker in the original, who will paint all the homes in your town a new color, one of 4 colors, including the original coloring, which I don't really find, useful at all. But, you can do it if you want to. But this leaves the question, who are the people that we should invite? Well, some of them are really easy. Of the 5 people who can all live in, or one of whom can live in house number 1, there's only one choice that is actually worthwhile, and that is this guy, Heckler, or Heckler in the original, who I'll talk about later. He wants to open a weapon shop, and we definitely want to do that. He's actually one of the 3 people who I consider to be very worthwhile to invite to your town, and as I said, I'll go over him later. And let's see, the other ones, which I'll get on the, well, not in exact order, but alright, here in the Windia Weapon Shop, you might remember this lady, Beretta, who is another of the really good people to invite to your town. So she wants to open another weapon shop, which may sound strange, but sure, we can have more than one weapon shop in our town. We could have all shops in our town if we wanted. So anyway, the last one that I want to get... Oh yeah, she takes up house number 3, by the way. There is like one other guy who's kind of worthwhile, I guess, but Beretta is way better, so I would always take her. But anyway, other than that, the person I want for house number 2 is kind of a choice, but I'll mention that in a moment. Upstairs here in the Inn of Capitan, there is this guy, Remington, or Limington, I believe it was in the original. And he also wants to open up a weapon shop, although his... well, I'll talk about it later. It's not quite as useful. This is kind of a might as well instance of recruiting people to your town. Because other than him, there's another guy named McLean who's down south of Semaphore that we can only get to with Tapita in the party. I'll talk about him later whenever we actually can get to him, but I don't really think he's that worthwhile, honestly. So anyway, back to town. Oh, by the way, I wanted to show that after happenstantially fighting 16 times around this area, the monsters are now permanently gone. So we can freely walk back and forth through here without having to worry about random encounters, which is nice since we have this town to go back to now. So, there's people living in town now, but I don't want to, well, I'll talk about them a little later. What we want to do, since there are now 3 people living here, we want to make the town a little bigger. And to do that, this is the carpenter's house. I'll go over what he does and everything in a moment. So, anyway, after talking to that guy once, he'll say, never have too much of a good thing. Sure, why not? Let's head down to the town. We'll have to give him 1,000 zenny, but it's worthwhile. So it's going to take some time, technically, to build up the town again. Although really, it's just how many times we visit the town. Visit the town. So what we want to do to make the town grow bigger is just walk in and out. I think a total of 8 times, if I recall correctly. And notice how the building there, or the house, overworld, whatever thing you'd call it there, is 2 buildings. It'll change once we're able to, and once it's been built up. So, there we go. So, now it's bigger. This is the full-fledged town, which, in this particular case, I really don't like this particular layout because the rest of the town is back here. This is my least favorite layout of the 3 towns, because I don't like the fact I have to use this thing to get all the way back to these other 3 buildings back here. So anyway, now we have homes number 4. Actually, I think, is that one 4 or is it? Yeah, this one's 4, and then houses number 5 and 6 are over here. And for the moment, I'm going to leave house number 4 empty, but I do want to fill up houses number 5 and 6. And for both of them, they depend on what on which carpenter you've chosen. So, leaving and going back out into the world again. Oh, by the way, those the houses 4, 5, and 6, they all have a total of 4 potential people each who can live in their houses. And first, I believe house number 5, is this guy has now appeared, and he is Hans. Hans here will basically open up yet another shop. Which in this case sells accessories and a couple of other items. Now the main reason you'd want to recruit this guy is for... Okay, now that I'm not flabbergasted, the reason that you want to recruit Hans mainly is if you have taken the cooking carpenter, which I did not, but I'm going to take him anyway because... I do have some use for him, even without the cooking carpenter. The other choice, instead of him, that you could potentially have is a guy named Yozo, who but he's in Windia Castle, which we currently do not have access to. And what that guy will do is permanently raise the AP of one of your characters by 16, which can be kind of useful for, I guess, Lynn or possibly Sten or maybe even Tapita. But in general, I don't really think it's that great, which is why I'd, maybe rather have that guy even so. But in any case, lastly, is house number 6, since house number 4 is a very special case. He's the other really good one. But house number 6, another, basically, a choice. I almost forgot where this guy was. Upstairs in the Windia Inn, you can find... Hey, come back. Hey! You can find Day, the world's greatest fish salesman or fishmonger, who... Basically, the only reason you want to recruit this guy is if you have the cooking carpenter, which I do not. What he will do is he'll sell all but 2 of the potential fish or Monero that you can... find in the fishing spots, which isn't really that great since they all cost more than the equivalent items in the item shop. The only reason you'd want to recruit this guy, again, is for the cooking carpenter, because one of the fish he sells happens to be a key ingredient in making a permanent stat boosting item, which I'm not going to be using. So otherwise, there's not really anyone who's especially worthwhile to get for house number 6, really, besides this guy. So I'm going to do kind of a might as well, because it's kind of useful. Well, we've got all those salesmen in town, so we might as well, do something beneficial for them in a matter of speaking, I suppose, or really for us. But I'm just north of Tagsy Woods. I didn't show you this area earlier, but with either Sten or Tapita in your party, you could come up here to this house, which formerly didn't serve any particular purpose, because there's no items to find here or anything. But there is this lady here, a woman named Surfy in the original, who is Safey in this one. No, I don't think so. But you can fix that, because Safey here will open a bank in town, which isn't honestly useful at all, because, there's banks in every other town in the game except for one. But since I am using the public storage quite a bit in my particular playthrough, I figure I might as well recruit her, since she's at least more useful than the fishmonger guy. So anyway, back to town once more to finally explain what some of these people actually do. Alright, town's filled up. That sign, by the way, does not say anything. So, let's see. How about we go over some of the... Oh, not that one. Sorry. Go over some of these people that I've recruited, just to see what the heck they do. So first off, house number 1, Keller here. He is an armory, a really nice one. He sells all flame-themed items, which is actually really nice. These are because... especially during the mid-game, because there's going to come a point, not like next or anything, but in the relatively near future, where we're going to have, I think, 3 dungeons in a row where almost every monster is weak to fire. In particular, you'll eventually want to pick up a heat staff for Lynn, because she is so darn fast, and she'll be able to pretty much one-shot almost everything everywhere you go. Among this equipment, I'm actually going to hold off on all of it for the moment, at least. Although you might want to wait on purchasing a flame sword at all, because we can get this for free eventually. And there is also a place to get both of these for free as well, but although you might want some extras eventually. But anyway, this is very useful equipment, again, because of those couple dungeons where it's, so many monsters are weak to fire, especially since, it's double attack power and all that for those. So next we got Remington, who has another armory. He's useful basically right now, and then not really ever again. After we get to not Semifort, but the town after that, if I recall correctly. Although, interestingly, I do want to buy a Demon Shield right now for Ryu, which is an interesting item shield that if you use it as an item in battle, it becomes an infinite use. I think it's called Sap Spell, which absorbs AP, which will be really good for Ryu in particular. You don't actually have to have it equipped either. You can just have it in your inventory. So I do want, actually, one for, this is Sten, right? Yeah, one for Sten as well. I could get one for Rand, but I want him to have a more universal shield later on. Interestingly, this is actually slightly stronger than the shield we'll find in Semifort, and it actually costs slightly less too, which is kind of odd. Otherwise, we got some other pretty darn good armor for the moment, as well as the Fearless, which is a interesting weapon for Tapita. It's a holy elemental weapon, one of the few easy-to-access ones in the game. Actually, the strongest of the easy-to-access ones. Although I might not necessarily buy this, I may eventually. Other thing is the Tyrant Sword, which is pretty darn good for now, but I'm gonna hold off for the moment. Actually, possibly permanently. Really, I mostly want those demon shields. And possibly that sword, or that rapier for Tapeta, which is called the Wonder Rapier in the original. And the other one here is Beretta, who doesn't seem the slightest bit impressive at all when we first look at her, as she sells a bunch of really old and otherwise cruddy equipment, except for the copper baton, which is technically better for Lynn, but we're going to get this in Simafort anyway. Now, the thing with Beretta is that among all the armory salesmen is at some very fixed intervals in the game, she will upgrade her armory to have much better stuff. And although it's not like that great at first, but the other upgrades are, eventually she'll have one of the ultimate armor shops in the game, selling some of the best stuff around. So you do want to have her for that purpose. So otherwise, shortcutting to those other homes that seem so freakishly far away in this setup. Now, house number 4 is still empty, as you may recall. But house number 5 here, I've got Hans, who has a more an accessory shop than an item shop. Got the amulet, which prevents curse. This increases defense by 10. This prevents sleep. This I will want to get maybe 1 or 2 of eventually, but not now. This is that wisdom bracelet we had before. This, I actually need to determine if this is still bugged. This item does not do anything in the original. I'm guessing that since those other bugs weren't fixed, this one probably wasn't either, so this probably still doesn't do anything, although it's supposed to increase your will by some amount. But what we, otherwise, ginseng, oh, really, it does? Oh, I guess this is an attack up? Well, I never really use it anyway. But the thing we really want here is the turbocharge, which, for if you have the cooking carpenter anyway, but I'll talk about that once I actually get to the carpenters. Accessories in this game kind of tend, for the most part, to be, like, not that worthwhile, but, like I said, I may want the, those earrings to prevent sleep eventually. And then otherwise, of course, I've got, oh, this is house number 4. Never mind, excuse me. Well, this is a little bit more convenient than I thought it was. So, yeah, otherwise we got Safey, who has a bank. I actually don't have all my money just yet, which I do want to get out because Simafort doesn't have a bank. So, I've actually got quite a bit of money right now. So, anyway, next I'm going to be discussing the carpenters. And for that, I have kind of a special treat.